You have $1.2 million to spend in Northern Virginia. You could buy a beautifully renovated townhouse in Clarendon and walk to the metro, restaurants, coffee shops, fitness studios, and nightlife. You could buy a 4,500 square foot detached home in West Springfield with a large yard, finished basement, multiple bedrooms, and a 2-car garage. Or you could buy an older home in McLean on a fantastic lot in a highly sought after school pyramid and spend the next few years updating it. All three might cost roughly that same amount. And that is why Northern Virginia confuses so many buyers. Because here, you are not really just choosing a house. You are choosing which compromise you are willing to live with. At 1.2 million, most people moving here to Northern Virginia think they should be able to get everything. In Northern Virginia, that is often where the triangle starts squeezing the hardest. You may have a serious budget, you may be financially qualified, and yet here you may be choosing between location, space, and condition, and that can be frustrating. I'm Brian Block. I'm a managing broker and realtor with RE/MAX Allegiance, a former attorney, and I've spent more than 20 years helping people buy and sell homes throughout Northern Virginia. I've helped buyers and sellers navigate everything from ordinary moves to complicated legal, estate, fiduciary, and relocation situations. So I don't look at this market only as a salesperson. I look at it as a broker, a former attorney, a local advisor, and someone who has watched Northern Virginia change for more than 2 decades. Almost every successful buyer eventually learns the same lesson. In Northern Virginia, you can usually maximize 2 of these 3 things: location, space, condition, but rarely all 3. Today, I'm going to show you what I call the Northern Virginia trade-off triangle. And stay with me because later in this video, I'm going to give you a quick self-assessment quiz. By the end, you should be able to identify whether you're really a location buyer, a space buyer, or a condition buyer. And that one answer can save you months and months of frustration. Northern Virginia is not expensive because every house is spectacular. Now, some of them are, and some of them absolutely are not. Northern Virginia is expensive because people are competing for proximity. Proximity to Washington, proximity to the Pentagon, proximity to Tyson's, to Reagan National Airport, and to Metro, and even proximity to specific school pyramids. And that proximity has a price. A house in Arlington, for example, is not priced only based on the kitchen. In this market, you're often paying for what surrounds the house as much as you're paying for the house itself. You are paying for time, you're paying for convenience, you're paying for access. And that is why the triangle squeezes so many buyers. One reason buyers struggle in Northern Virginia is that they usually start with a wish list instead of a priority list. A wish list says, I want a great location. I want lots of space. I want everything updated. I want a short commute. I want a garage. I want good schools. I want a finished basement. I want to stay under my budget. The problem is that Northern Virginia forces you to rank them. The market is constantly assigning value to things that buyers don't always recognize at first. This is especially true for buyers who are relocating to Northern Virginia. Someone moves here from Texas, or North Carolina, or Florida, or Ohio, and they arrive thinking, we have $1 million budget. We should be in great shape. And in many parts of America, $1 million is an enormous housing budget. In Northern Virginia, it can feel shockingly ordinary. That is not because Northern Virginia homes are always better. It's because you are competing for access. Access to jobs, access to technology corridors, access to good schools, access to DC. That is why relocation buyers often go through 2 stages. First comes the sticker shock. Then comes the perspective shift. At first they say, how is this house this expensive? Then, after looking at enough homes, they start saying, okay, now I understand what I'm actually buying. Once a buyer understands the triangle, they usually become much more strategic. One of the most expensive things you can buy in Northern Virginia is not granite countertops. it is time. Every metro stop closer to DC often carries a housing premium. A buyer looking near Clarendon or Courthouse may discover their budget buys a smaller townhouse or condo. That same budget in Springfield may buy a detached home. And that same budget in Burke may buy even more house. Farther west, the same budget might buy dramatically more square footage. Buyers are paying for convenience, paying for shorter commutes, paying for metro access, and they're paying to get their time back. And here in Northern Virginia, time is expensive. In a minute, I'm going to show you the 3 buyer combinations: location plus condition, space plus condition, and location plus space. And one of them is probably you. First, we need to define what each point on the triangle really means in Northern Virginia. Location, space, and condition do not mean the same thing here that they mean in many other markets. Let's start at the top of the triangle. Location. Location is more than a zip code. It's how your life works every day. Can you walk to dinner? How close are you to the metro? Can your spouse get to work without crossing the entire region? Can you get to school, daycare, synagogue, church, the gym, groceries, or family without every trip becoming a production? In Northern Virginia, location is lifestyle. Location might mean staying inside the Beltway. A buyer who wants walkability may love Del Rey. A buyer who wants metro may focus on Ballston, Clarendon, East Falls Church, or Vienna. A buyer who wants a specific school pyramid may focus on McLean, Langley, Yorktown, Madison, Marshall, or Oakton. A buyer who wants more space and a manageable commute may look at West Springfield or Burke. All of these buyers are prioritizing location, but they're not prioritizing the same kind of location. The second corner of the trade-off triangle is space. Now, space means square footage. Bedrooms, home offices, garages, basements, storage, yard, privacy, perhaps room for aging parents, guests, room for kids, room for pets, room to breathe. And this is where Northern Virginia becomes very personal. Space affects how you live. A 2,100 square foot townhouse may feel spacious to one buyer, but cramped to another. A 3,500 square foot single family home may feel perfect for one household, but too much maintenance for another. A finished basement may be perfect for one family, but absolutely essential for another. The farther you move from the urban core, the more space your money generally buys. That's why many buyers who start off in Arlington eventually look at Springfield. Some buyers who start in Del Rey eventually compare Kingstown. And buyers who start in McLean will sometimes compare Vienna, Oakton, or parts of Fairfax. But that space usually comes with a trade-off. Longer drives, less walkability, more car dependency, more distance from DC. The third corner of the triangle is condition. Condition is what many buyers notice first. The updated kitchens, renovated bathrooms, open layouts, new roofs, new windows, newer HVAC systems, and modern lighting, finished basements, good flooring, clean landscaping. Move-in ready homes command a premium because buyers are paying for that convenience. Someone else already managed the renovation. Someone else already lived through the dust, delays, permits, decisions, and surprises. You're paying a premium to skip that entire process. For many buyers, that's well worth it. Not every buyer has the cash, the patience, the time, or the emotional bandwidth to go through a renovation. The problem is that condition can seduce buyers. A beautifully staged house photographs well. A white kitchen looks great online. Suddenly, buyers can start overvaluing condition while undervaluing location or space. And that leads us to one of the most common mistakes that I see. But before we get there, let's look at the 3 combinations. Let's see how the trade-off triangle actually works. Once you see these 3 combinations, you will probably recognize yourself. This is the buyer who wants lifestyle and convenience. Imagine a renovated townhouse in Clarendon, a polished condo in Old Town Alexandria, a move-in ready property in Del Rey, or an updated, smaller home near Falls Church City. This buyer wants the location, and they do not want a project. They want to unpack, bring their toothbrush, settle in, and just start living. And that can be a wonderful choice. But the trade-off is usually space. You may get great location, great condition, but you may give up a large yard, a garage, a big basement. That's why this combination often works well for buyers who value convenience over size. Maybe they work long hours. Maybe they hate yard work. Maybe they want a home that supports their life, not a home that becomes their life. I'm curious how many Northern Virginia buyers are choosing convenience over square footage right now. This buyer wants the bigger house and does not want a major project. Think, for example, West Springfield, Burke, Fairfax Station, and certainly parts of Loudoun County. Maybe newer townhome community, detached homes further away from DC. You may get more bedrooms, finished basement, garage, larger kitchen, and a better layout. Move-in ready condition. For many buyers, this is the dream. They want a house that just works. They want space to spread out. They want modern finishes, home office and storage. But the trade-off here may be less walkability, much longer commute, more driving, less metro access, more distance from DC, Arlington, or Old Town. And this choice is especially common for buyers who are done squeezing their lives into a condo or small townhouse. They say, I want room. The question is whether the added space is worth the added distance. And for many people, the answer is yes. That is what you have to figure out before you buy. This is the classic Northern Virginia fixer-upper, the older North Arlington Rambler, the McLean Colonial, the Vienna home with great bones, the older Alexandria house on a great lot, the Falls Church property with potential. Here you get a strong location, a good lot, useful space, long-term potential. But updates are likely coming, and this is where buyers need to be very careful. The purchase price here is not the real price. The real price is purchase price plus renovation cost, plus time, plus stress, plus temporary inconvenience, decision fatigue, and the possibility that the project costs much more than expected. This combination can be very powerful if you understand what you're taking on. Some of the best long-term opportunities in Northern Virginia are homes with great location and space, but a dated condition. Because you can change condition. You can renovate a kitchen, you can update bathrooms, you can finish a basement, and you can improve landscaping. But you cannot move the house. You cannot relocate it closer to metro. That is why some buyers intentionally choose location and space and then improve the condition over time. And this leads to one of the most important parts of this entire video. The triangle is not just about the house. In Northern Virginia, there's a shadow force that can completely change the equation. Many buyers say, we want good schools. What they often mean is, we want a specific school pyramid. Perhaps it's Langley, McLean, Yorktown, Madison, Oakton, Marshall, depending on the buyer, the commute, and the part of Northern Virginia that they are considering. In Northern Virginia, schools are almost their own currency. A school pyramid can affect demand. Schools can affect how quickly homes move on the market. And it can absolutely change where a buyer sits inside the triangle. A buyer may discover the school pyramid that they want requires a smaller house, an older house, a larger budget, or more flexibility on condition. Sometimes these priorities overlap, often they collide. And that's where a skilled local advisor matters. A buyer who says good schools may have more options than they think. Now, schools are not technically a fourth corner of the triangle. Otherwise, we'd have a square. But in Northern Virginia, they push hard on all three corners. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest mistakes that I see buyers make. I call it the HGTV Trap. This happens when buyers become so focused on condition that they lose sight of everything else. White kitchen, quartz countertops, designer lighting. The house is beautiful. The open house smells like fresh cookies. Meanwhile, they might be ignoring the commute, the neighborhood. 5 years later, they may still like those countertops, but they may be frustrated by the drive, or the lack of yard, or the awkward location, or the fact that the house was beautiful but not actually functional for their life. Condition matters, of course. However, condition is the most changeable part of this triangle. That doesn't mean you should ignore condition. It means you should not let condition blind you. Now, let's go back to the number from the beginning, $1.2 million. This is the price where many buyers expect the triangle to to disappear. And in Northern Virginia, it usually does not. Imagine 4 buyers with $1.2 million. Buyer A chooses Lyon Village. They may want walkability, Arlington convenience, proximity to DC, and long-term location strength. Buyer B chooses Waynewood. They may prioritize neighborhood feel, yard space, community, access to the GW Parkway, and Old Town Alexandria. Buyer C chooses Vienna. They may want schools, town amenities, commuting options, and a more suburban feel. Buyer D chooses Falls Church. They may prioritize central location, schools, charm, or access to multiple employment centers. All spend roughly the same amount of money, but all get something different. Nobody gets everything, even at $1.2 million. That is the triangle squeezing. Now, at $1.5 million, the triangle expands a bit. You gain flexibility, you gain options. You can get closer to all 3 priorities, but the trade-offs do not disappear completely. In some areas, $1.5 million may feel like a substantial, updated, spacious property. In others, it may still feel like an older home with some compromises. The reason this conversation matters is because different compromises create different kinds of regret. I've seen buyers regret buying too small, and I've seen buyers regret buying too far out. Some buyers regret buying too much house. Other buyers regret taking on a renovation project that they were not prepared for. I rarely see buyers regret a conscious, well-understood decision. The buyer who knowingly chooses a smaller home in Arlington because they value location is often very happy. Those who choose a larger home in Burke because they value space, they are happy. And the buyer who knowingly chooses an older McLean home because they value location and long-term potential is often very happy as well. The unhappy buyers are usually the ones who do not realize the trade-off that they were making. When I sit down with buyers, I rarely start by asking, how many bedrooms do you want? Of course, bedrooms matter. Budget matters. The better question is, what problem are we trying to solve? Are we solving for commute? Are we solving for schools? Are we solving for space? Are you thinking about resale? Once we identify the real priorities, search becomes dramatically easier. Every buyer is standing somewhere inside this triangle. My job is to help them figure out where. So let's figure out where you fit. Would you rather cut 20 minutes off your daily commute or add 500 square feet? If the commute wins, you're probably leaning towards location. If square footage wins, you're probably leaning towards space. Would you rather walk to dinner in Delray or have a larger backyard in Springfield? If you choose Delray, lifestyle, location may matter more. If you choose Springfield, space and daily comfort may matter more. Would you rather have a renovated kitchen or be 1 metro stop closer to DC? If the kitchen wins, condition matters. If the metro stop wins, location matters. Would you buy an older McLean home if you got into your preferred school pyramid? If yes, you may be a location plus space buyer. If no, you may need to prioritize condition more than you think. Would you rather have a garage or a shorter walk to restaurants? That sounds simple, but it reveals a lot. Your answer tells you which corner of the triangle matters most: location, space, or condition. And if you are planning a move in Northern Virginia and you're trying to figure out where your budget actually fits, feel free to reach out. My contact information is below. I work with buyers and sellers all across the region: Alexandria, Arlington, Falls Church, McLean, Fairfax, Springfield, Burke, and all the surrounding Northern Virginia communities, as well as across the river in DC. These are the kinds of conversations I have with clients every week. After more than 20 years helping buyers navigate Northern Virginia, I have learned something very important. The happiest buyers are not always the ones who found the perfect house. Perfect is rare. The happiest buyers are usually the ones who understand their priorities before they start shopping. Eventually, almost every buyer reaches the same moment. The question is not which house is perfect. The question is which compromise fits your life best. The Northern Virginia market is not irrational. It is not broken, and it is not trying to frustrate you. It's simply forcing every buyer to answer the same question: what matters most? Once you answer that question, the trade-off triangle stops feeling like a problem and starts feeling like a roadmap. Location, space, condition. Pick 2, then build the rest of your strategy around that decision. Buyers who understand that reality usually make the smartest moves.